The diplomatic shuttle had barely touched down on Varlof Prime when Mira Halden knew something was wrong. The welcoming committee, if it could be called that, consisted of a single elderly Varlothi official who looked more annoyed than honored by humanity's first contact mission. "You are the human." The official's fur bristled, silver-tipped, and wary. His species resembled the wolves of Earth's ancient forests, but larger, bipedal, with eyes that gleamed with unmistakable intelligence. Commander Mira Halden, Terran Diplomatic Corps. She extended her hand, a gesture the Varlothi ignored. "I'm here to discuss the treaty negotiations." "There will be no negotiations." The official's ears flattened against his skull. "The Council has decided. Humans are too weak, too soft. We cannot ally with prey." Mira's jaw tightened, but she maintained her composure. 3 months of travel through the void, and they wouldn't even hear Earth's proposal. The Kashari Empire was expanding, consuming world after world, and humanity needed allies. Strong ones. "I understand your concerns," she said carefully, "but perhaps there is nothing to discuss." The official turned. "You may resupply and leave by dawn." As he stalked away, Mira stood alone on the landing platform, her heavy equipment bag slung over one shoulder. The compound stretched before her, a collection of stone structures built into the mountainside. Varlothi of all ages moved about their business, pointedly ignoring the human visitor. She started toward the guest quarters, her boots heavy on the ancient stone. The bag's weight dug into her shoulder 40 kilos of survey equipment, diplomatic gifts, and data cores. She'd carried heavier during her military days, but that felt like a lifetime ago. A small sound made her pause, a whimper, almost inaudible. Behind a carved pillar sat a young Varlothi, barely a meter tall. A cub, his fur was still fluffy with youth, gray and white like storm clouds. He stared at Mira with wide amber eyes, one paw tucked close to his chest. "Hey there," Mira said softly, crouching down. "You okay?" The cub whimpered again, and Mira saw the problem, a deep thorn embedded in his paw pad. Around his neck hung a small identification band, Torek Ward of the Mountain Pack. "That looks painful." Mira slowly opened a pocket on her bag, pulling out a basic medical kit. "May I?" Turek hesitated, then extended his paw. His species didn't trust easily, the briefings had made that clear, but pain was universal, and so was the desire for relief. Mira worked quickly, her trained hands gentle but efficient. The thorn came out cleanly, followed by a dab of antiseptic and a small bandage. "They're good as new." Turek stared at his paw, then at Mira. Before she could react, he grabbed the strap of her equipment bag with both paws and pulled. "Oh no, that's too heavy for you," but Turek was determined. He dug his hind legs in, straining with every muscle in his small body. The bag barely budged. Mira could have icily pulled it away, could have insisted. Instead, something made her pause. She remembered the official's words. "Too weak, too soft." "All right," she said quietly. "If you want to help, I won't stop you." She adjusted the bag's position, making it fractionally easier for Torek to drag. The cub's tail began to wag as he made progress, pulling the bag across the smooth stone, 1 stubborn meter at a time. They hadn't gone 20 paces when 2 more cubs appeared from between buildings. They saw Torek struggling with the strange human's burden, and without a word joined in. Then came 3 more. Then 5. Soon, a small army of Varlothi cubs surrounded Mira's equipment bag, pushing and pulling it along the path. They turned it into a game, yipping and tumbling over each other, competing for the best grip. Mira walked alongside them, ready to catch the bag if they faltered, but never interfering. Adult Varlothi began to emerge from doorways and workshops, drawn by the commotion. They watched in silence as the cubs assisted the human stranger. One young warrior approached, his amber eyes curious. He looked at Mira, at the cubs, at the heavy bag they struggled with. Then, wordlessly, he took a position beside Torek and lifted. Another joined, then another. By the time they reached the guest quarters, Mira had an escort of 15 Varlothi, ranging from cubs to full-grown warriors. They set the bag down carefully outside her door. Torek looked up at Mira, his tail wagging furiously, the bandage still bright white on his paw. "Thank you," Mira said, meeting each pair of eyes. "All of you." That evening, the elderly official appeared at her door. Behind him stood 3 members of the Varlothi Council, Commander Halden. His tone was different now, not warm, but no longer dismissive. "We, observed the incident this afternoon." Torek needed help with a thorn, Myra said simply. I helped, and when he attempted to carry your burden, Mira considered her words. Where I come from, when someone offers help, no matter how small they rue, let them, not because you need it, but because accepting help builds something stronger than any individual strength ever could. The official's ears twitched forward. The cub's burden was far too heavy for him. Yes, Mira agreed, but not for the pack that followed. A long silence stretched between them. Finally, the official dipped his head in what might have been the first gesture of respect he'd shown. The council will hear your proposal, Commander, tomorrow at dawn. He paused. We Varlathi pride ourselves on strength. Perhaps we have been too narrow in how we define it. As they departed, Myra saw young Torek peeking around the corner, his bandaged paw raised in what could only be a wave. She waved back. Humanity had just made its first alien friends, not through shows of force or technological superiority, but through a simple truth the Varlathi were only beginning to understand. The strongest packs are those who let even the smallest member carry their share of the weight, and sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when to let them try.